All right, and welcome to a special episode here of Stay Tuned with Troy and Howie, and we have another special guest on board, and this guy is as entertaining as it gets.
Not just a special guest, Howie, a special agent as
Oh,
well.
a special agent. Yes, there we go. Yeah, and this guy, Sebastian from Narcs, and that's Narcs. Hey, Sebastian.
How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. We've been looking forward to having you on, and I've been ever since Troy introduced me to you. I've been checking your sites out, and they are quite entertaining. And I have so many questions because I do come from a criminal justice background, and some of these things they're pretty amusing, and I'm be curious because number one, I think I'm talking to you as you're wearing it looks like a bulletproof vest.
Well, this one technically is just like a tactical whatever, like paintball or fishing vest. But I do have a bulletproof vest as well that I wear in most of the videos.
Oh, okay.
This one's lighter and more comfortable.
Oh,
but yeah,
wow.
it was a fan of the Narcs who is a police officer in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, who, after he saw one of our videos where a man displayed a firearm toward us, he said, "Hey, I got an extra vest if you want it." I said, "Sure, thank you." And it just so happens that, as you may know from being from your background, the front slat where you put plates in, the plate carrier for like harder, that's not Kevlar, that's like steel plating for higher caliber rounds. That's a good place to stick a little GoPro, and it worked perfectly for taping Narcs.
Oh, sweet!
That is so awesome. So why don't you share with us exactly what you're doing, and what your your episodes are about and so forth.
So it's really simple. I and many like myself for many years saw the results of people who don't return their shopping carts to the cart returns or the front of the store to the designated areas where they often have signs, "Please return carts here," or some variation of that. But we'd see them in the middle of spots. You'd see them just loose. People would walk back to their car and see that one of them had rolled into the side of their car and dinged it, all variations of, they didn't put their cart back where it belongs. So we said, or I said specifically, I'm going to find out why people do this. And so I didn't have, any kind of uniform and all the other stuff I've kind of developed and garnered from the past few years of doing this. I just walked up to people and said, "Hey, why did you take your cart back?" And instantly, boom, it was excuses, defensiveness, threats, the whole gamut of negative human emotions. Not some people are good. Some people said I was sorry. "Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Sorry, just being lazy. Didn't think. My bad. I'll take care of that."
Yeah.
But the other side of things was the nasty side. I was like, "Oh, geez, I've sort of opened a Pandora's box here unintentionally."
Sure.
And it kind of developed from there.
So what year about was this when you kind of started toying with this?
Just kind of off and on, starting like late 2018. And then it just kind of started slowly gaining steam, and either I'd do one and then I'd think, oh, it'd be interesting if, I had like my own little siren. You can't use police and emergency sirens. That's against the law. What if I just made my own up and, with in my mouth or whatever, that's silly. Yeah, because what I'm doing is a silly thing. And I kind of had the idea, and I was like, well, that should be like, because they're being so nasty, I should be as nice as possible. This isn't going to work if I'm screaming and yelling at them, because then you could say, well, of course they're screaming and yelling at you back because you're threatening or intimidating or whatever. But if I'm as sweet and lovable and polite and sort of G-rated as possible,
what could go wrong?
Right, exactly. Well, many things have gone wrong. But it at least makes their ridiculous that much more of a striking contrast against, the Boy Scout sort of attitude that I have. And so little things like that, the logos, the magnets, the stick, all those little things have been like, oh, what if I did this? And then, okay, I'll try that next time. So that just kind of it's one of those things that slowly builds.
When did it come to your mind that maybe I should start recording this? And like, this could be something that I could put on social media and all this. I think I can get a lot of hits off this. Like, when did that come about?
Well, so the initial response, I do work for a radio show here in LA. So that was, and I'm kind of like the guy who I'm trying to think of a TV analogy. Like they have like a consumer reporter a lot of times, and a lot of stations will have, oh, hey, why does XYZ happen? Or why is this, You know, they do like investigative reporting, but kind of on like an everyday, person to person sort of thing. There's even a guy who he's bounced around a bunch of cities. I think he's in Arizona now. His name is Stanley Roberts, and he does stuff like busting people who misuse disability tags on their cars. He can't do it himself. Yeah. But like, for instance, the police will set up a sting as one of his videos I saw, like at a NASCAR event or something, and he'll like go right along and tape, people doing that. Or there's guys who will they'll find restaurants that have got like rats in there, and they'll go talk to them, and everyday stuff. So this is a version of that. Mm-hmm. So I've always been recording, but it was kind of like, oh, we'll visit that again in a couple months and see if it's improved. But it kind of it garnered such a huge response. People were like, oh my God, I hate that too. I'm so glad someone's doing something about that. So at that point, I don't know, 18 months later, whatever, started its own, dedicated YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Because we didn't want all of the radio show stuff to just be Cart Narcs and, like have that be its own thing, kind of spin this off where it's still part of the radio show, but it is also its own dedicated mission as well. So I've been kind of recording the whole time, but only really dedicated it as its own thing in early 2020.
Before my next question to you, that you just brought up a good point there. Yeah, you can find this guy on all the social media platforms. Go to Cart Narcs, like he said, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Do you have a Twitter? I'm not even sure if you have a Twitter. I don't really go on Twitter much anymore.
Stuff on there from time to time, but it's more of a
TikTok.
Thing. We were on TikTok for a while, and then one day, oh God, maybe like a year or so ago, I started noticing like a bunch of videos got removed, and then they have a little like box that tells you. I didn't get any emails about this or anything, but I went to go post. I was like, oh, there's like 6 or 8 videos that are gone with a little box around them, and it says like, this content may be dangerous to the user.
Oh, geez.
And I guess TikTok is especially sensitive of that because of teenagers doing the challenges or whatever. That's kind of their thing. They get in trouble. They get in quote trouble.
Yeah.
Because and so I guess that was the idea. But there are tons of Cart Narcs videos on TikTok because like fan accounts and other people will repost them. Just don't message those accounts because I have I have no idea who that could be, et cetera, et cetera.
And you don't care that people do that. I mean, that's more exposure for you, right? So
yeah, no, it's funny because when I go out, you see it in some of our videos. Like guys and girls will walk up to me and I'll say, "Oh, hey, I saw you on Facebook, YouTube, TV." Or I get a lot of TikTok, and I just like, oh, thanks. Just beware, that is not me. That's just a fan account. But I get that a lot in person. So it is nice that at least the message is getting out that way.
Wow. I mean, obviously you started this kind of not that long ago in 2018, and it sounds like it's obviously gained a lot of momentum. I think if I looked at on your Facebook, you have over 600,000 followers, and I don't know how many on YouTube or anything, but I'm sure you have a lot. But it gained so much momentum, like you even started getting national recognition, and you were actually on the Dr. Phil show.
Yeah, I love that screenshot they used is hilarious. Like,
yeah,
which is their right. I get it. That's it's their TV show. They can do what they want. Yeah, but that we taped that one late 2021, and it was it was me versus Dr. Phil and the rest of his panelists. He assembled a group of crack team to kind of come after me and try to take me down. But I think depending on who you ask, So I'll get people message me saying, "Oh man, you destroyed Dr. Phil," and other people who say, "Oh, Dr. Phil destroyed you." I think it depends on just where you were beforehand.
Yeah,
if you tended to like me, you liked what I did. If you tended to not like me, you tend to like what Dr. Phil did. So I guess it's
I thought you held your own pretty well when I watched it back. Did you know that going into it that was kind of an attack at you, or?
They not to that extent. They were, I will say, behind the scenes, and all the producers and camera guys, all that stuff. They were all super nice and straightforward. So it wasn't a bait and switch by any means. And they sat me down before and said, okay, first we're going to introduce you, talk to you, get to know you about your blah blah blah. Then we are going to bring on some people and he said this psychologist and this former radio host who did this and that. So they were very clear about who I'd be talking to. We got some messages from people you've talked to beforehand, and you can talk about that. So they were clear about what was going to happen. They were not maybe as they didn't reveal how, like, Dr. Phil almost never took my side, almost never.
Right.
Outside of, I think, that one lady who wrote in saying, my autistic daughter, who was not with her at the time. And I pointed out, what does that have to do with anything? And Dr. Phil,
yeah, right.
And Dr. Phil kind of said, yeah, it's kind of silly. You know, he said, he's like, yeah, you're right. But, you know, because you can't just like say, and you see it in our videos too, like, oh, I've got an elderly mother. Or, you know, if they don't have some sort of affliction or whatever, they're ready to use some part of their family or friend as like a shield against responsibility, which to me, that's just like, if I can get on a small soapbox besides my entire channel, which is a soapbox, that's one of the worst things is like, it's this whole like, and I have plenty, everyone has people either themselves or in their family who have significant either disabilities or hardships at one point or the other. Everyone either lives with it or has someone like that.
Sure.
However, that can't be your excuse not to live a responsible and decent life to the best of your abilities, you know? But for so many people it is. So I don't know. That's my little.
So if you're able to push a cart and you're able to unload a cart, you're able to push that cart back to where it belongs, I would imagine, right? That seems common sense to me.
That's all it should be. But you see it in some of the commentary too, where people are like, well, you don't know about, and then they create these fantasies like, because they'll say like, oh, I had whatever, you know, some disability you can't see, fibromyalgia, arthritis. Like when I had my arthritis, I couldn't blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not what happened here. You saw them they went to the store for half an hour. A lot of these videos, you know, you guys don't see it, but because the video picks up right as they're leaving their cart. Because I can't just sit there and like focus in on somebody the whole time. But I'm watching them, you know, gallons of water and milk and all this other stuff, climbing up, you know, into SUVs and trucks. And what you're saying is exactly right. If you can push it all that way without any trouble, when you don't need it anymore, you can push it back.
Right. Yeah. So, that's just well, as you put it, that's just lazy bones. I mean,
quite simply.
Yeah.
How did you get to the point where you like, for instance, like he just said there, like some of your nicknames and stuff, like your lazy bones and
it's one of those things where I don't really think about what I'm going to say too much ahead of time. So when something, you know, it's sort of like a mixture of, I guess, to use an analogy, it's sort of a mixture of like improv and stand-up, which is not, I know it's not, but like somebody will say something to me or I'll have a reaction in the moment. And then especially just looking at, you know, I'll like, oh, that's funny or that's interesting or that's silly. And then I'll kind of like, you know, that'll back pocket it. So like I might have called someone lazy bones at one point. Like, oh, that was silly or stupid, or like somebody will text it to me or DM it to me and say, oh, that was funny. Like, oh,
or the fake out, right? So the fake out's a good one too.
Yeah, right.
It's not pre-planned. It's just kind of like it's sort of like a natural build, you know.
Was that what happened with the fake out too? Then, or somebody said, oh, that was pretty funny that you did that, and then you're like, I should probably do that more often, right? Like,
you see a lot of videos, and the one I just posted the other day, the guy, he specific like after the second time, so I put the magnet on for folks who don't know. There's a magnet that says I don't return my shopping cart like a jerk. So I'll put it on someone's car or vehicle that doesn't take their, like I'll give them the opportunity to say, oh, hey, you didn't take your cart back. Would you mind doing that? And they'll say no, or they'll ignore me, whichever, you know, they'll blow me off. And so I put the magnet on, little ticket, little warning. And then sometimes they'll get out and throw it at me or do whatever.
Most of the times they'll get out.
Yeah. And they'll do it again and again and again. And so the funny, like, sort of, I guess, Bugs Bunny maneuver is to like pretend that I'm putting it on where they can't see it. But then when they get out and they look and they're like, and then and like, well, you just got out of your car.
It really irritates them.
It's a very silly, like, oh, you rascally rabbit sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do enjoy. Yeah, but that just kind of happened, like saying, well, what if I didn't even put it on? Yeah, it's like one of those things. I was in the moment and like, well, what if I didn't? You know, It's just a lot of card knocks. It's just like, what if? And
my son just popped in here real quick, and he wanted me to say hi to you as well because he's a fan of yours as well. So
great.
He popped in here. So
very nice.
He's 8 years old, but he loves watching the videos with me as well. So
sweet.
Yeah. So you kind of alluded to that you also work in radio. I assume, is that your full-time gig?
Yeah. This is like, to use, I guess, the analogy that a lot of people know. This is like I guess really only Jimmy Kimmel does this now. He has like Cousin Sal, who kind of has been his prank guy for years and years and years. So like this would be like if Cousin Sal still worked for Jimmy Kimmel, but also kind of did a spin off of one of one of Jimmy's famous prank things or whatever.
Gotcha.
Even though it's not a prank, these are real life deals, and it's not designed to be a prank, but it's what I call it practical comedy, in that it's like a practical joke, involves real people. This involves real people in real situations, with hopefully some sort of comedic spin.
Yeah, and with what you do, obviously it's hilarious and it's fun to watch. But how much of that is like how you truly feel about those folks that are doing that with carts? Like, is that like a true agenda of yours to like get these people to put their carts away, or is this truly for comedic laughter?
Well, that's a fair question, and I would think, quite frankly, my true attitude is worse towards them. I have to like really tone it down, like I said, with all the G-rated language. Yeah, because I would like to be much more mean to them. I would like to be much more nasty to them. So it's I would say it's almost less true in that respect.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but because I see myself doing this with other things like especially I think littering's probably the number one besides this one. And in a few videos I've caught people littering who happen to also be not returning their carts. Surprise, surprise. Those two things correlate. But so yeah, I would say it's absolutely true. And even like I have to like put a governor on it.
Okay.
So how he was bringing up your relationship to the radio station, is that kind of how it all started with your connection to the Woody Show then? Or
yeah, well, like I said, and I've been doing like more practical stuff has always been my thing. They call it, you often hear the term "man on the street" sort of stuff. So it's because like the topic of carts, people leaving their carts out, has been around for long before I started doing cart narcs. Sure. But it is the someone who goes out and talks about it, who interacts with it. That's kind of always been my thing, is the get out there and see what's actually going on.
So we've gotten to you know what? Real quick before we move on to other things, let's stay with the whole thing here with the media and stuff that you've been on. Dr. Phil, the video just posted, I think maybe 5 or 6 days ago. There's a gentleman on there that says, I saw you get knocked out by Dr. Phil, or whatever he said in that video. Where did that come from? What did he mean by that?
So yeah, that happened in the New Orleans area, where I was walking around, just kind of like doing normal, just walking through the parking lot, picking up loose cars and looking for people leaving theirs out. I noticed that man in the video you're talking about, where he was having a conversation with like other customers and maybe an employee or two, and you could tell he was like looking over at me a lot, or I could tell that from my vantage point. And I think in that video I had a cart that I was taking back to the front of the store. And so I was like, well, he either is talking about me or wants to talk to me. I'll might as well go over there while I'm taking this cart back and see what's going on. And you hear it just as I get within earshot of him, he's telling some other guy like, oh, and in one of his videos he got knocked out or whatever. And I said, no, I haven't. Which is something I see from time to time too. And like I heard the cart narcs, or I saw that video where the cart narcs got his ass kicked or something, and like, yeah, that video doesn't exist. Not only have I never posted that video, but I was going to say,
unless there's a stunt double somewhere, right?
Right. So you might think, oh, well, the cart narcs, to sidebar here, you might think, well, I would never post that because it would make me look bad. But it's actually never happened in real life. So you couldn't have had like somebody off somewhere taking a video of an encounter and posting that somewhere.
Yeah.
It just never has happened. So that's why I told him, like, well, that's never happened. And he was like, so that was a lie. Obviously, he was lying to that guy to seem cool or seem like I'm a bitch or whatever.
Right.
And so that's why I said, no, that's not how it happened. And he turned and he stopped. And he said, yeah, well, I saw Dr. Phil knock you out. And then, I was like, and then of course I immediately responded with, actually, I beat him. It shows you what I mentioned earlier, like, because he doesn't like me, obviously. In his mind, it was a Dr. Phil victory, and it works the other way for people who do like me. So,
right,
yeah.
And welcome to today's media.
Age. I'll see things through my lens and my lens only.
Oh, so true. And you're based out of Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah, that's where the Woody Show's based out of. I'm in LA, but obviously, like, all the videos are across the country for a couple reasons. Number one, just fun and variety, and number two, it's still you still get this comment, but less so nowadays, as people would say, "Oh, he would never try that in my city." Doesn't matter what. And sometimes people will put like really lame cities, like, "Oh, he could never come to Cleveland and try that." Like, yeah, because Cleveland's so tough.
Yeah.
No, I will
Well,
intentionally go. I've gone everywhere from Boston to Miami to Seattle, parts of Canada, the UK, Australia.
wow.
And I go to I go to bad, like when I go to Chicago, I intentionally go to the south side of Chicago. So
Yeah.
people can't say, oh, well, he was in the suburbs or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
I go to Compton, to 8 Mile, Detroit, all parts of Miami that are, quote, bad parts of Miami.
Yeah.
just to kind of hopefully shut those people up. It doesn't shut them up, but at least that way there's material that, like, if I don't see it, other fans will post. They'll say, shut up, you want to be hard ass, you know.
I saw that you posted. Maybe it wasn't your video, because how many guys are actually helping you do this at this point?
Mostly just me and just doing voices and characters, just to.
Is that really what it is? Oh, you had me fooled. I didn't know.
Oh wow.
Well, that's not a weird. That's a very common. Like, friends of mine who've known me for a long time think the same thing, and I think it's like plausible deniability, because you don't see my face really in the videos unless I'm doing an interview or something. And I think it's a lot. The analogy I use is like, it's like South Park, where it's two guys doing almost all the voices.
Right.
But because there's different character on screen and it's set up as a different character, you can kind of, like, you don't even think about that. You're just like, oh, I'm going to follow that character, you know. So It's not like you're being intentionally tricked. You're just kind of into the world that's being created for you.
Did I see that there was a girl helping you the one day, though, or something?
I have had a few different ladies come along. Yeah, these are women who are fans or whom I know personally, who say, hey, I want to come along. And they don't have to, like, they're not going to get into a fight, but it's also a fun experiment of, like, how do guys deal with, like, pretty girls as opposed to.
Because I saw her using, like, a megaphone and like talking in the guy's window or something like that.
Yeah. There's a little bit of silliness there too. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you go to these, are they mostly like grocery stores or shopping malls, or mixture of everything? Or
it's a little bit of mixture of everything. Mostly places that either are grocery stores or have grocery like a Super Walmart or Target, or I guess they're just called Walmarts and Targets.
Costco.
Every once in a while, there'll be a Home Depot and a Lowe's in there from time to time. Your warehouse stores, your Costco's and Sam's and BJ's, clubs.
Yeah. So when you go to these places, do you go into the stores and just kind of give, like, the managers or somebody a heads up, like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm here? Or do you just go, like, and just basically freeball it from the start?
Just start, because for a couple reasons. Number one, better to beg forgiveness than ask permission. But number two, I don't want to have to, like, and I say this in some videos, my job there, even though most of what I talk about is what people are doing to other customers, you know, to the next customer next to you or in that spot, or the one whose car your cart is going to hit.
Sure.
I don't want to make the employees' jobs more difficult. So I don't want to put another plate on the manager's tray, or anybody else's tray. Also, it's very easy for them to say no. So
yeah. Well, that's very true too.
So it's a combination of all those things. Yeah.
I've seen a few videos where, as you mentioned there, like if the customer threatens to go into the store and tell the manager, you'll back off of them, because you don't want to cause that problem for the manager. Right.
And then there are a few videos where the manager and I have a discussion, because they, like, the customer will have called them or something, but from inside their car, and the manager comes out and says, hey, you need to leave. And I always say absolutely no problem, because, again, I'm not making their job any harder. Is not my intention.
Yeah. So when you're doing these, I was watching the one video, and the guy literally took his cart, and when he was done with it, he had it sitting behind another vehicle, and he's getting in, and you're really, giving him a hard time and everything, and harassing him. No, I don't want to say harassing, but you're just letting him know that, hey, this isn't right. In fact, you're even preventing someone else from backing up, and you're making this person move the cart. Now, the evil part of me would be like, I would take that cart and simply put it behind his car.
Right behind his, yeah. I thought.
Yeah. Did you ever think of doing stuff like that, like to be really vindictive, or?
So I did, very early on in the Cart Narcs, in fact, and my attorney said, you might want to back off on that, because now you're right, it's total karma. It's exactly what he just did.
Yeah.
Now, that being, because I remember speaking of kind of like thinking of things on the fly and like saying, oh, I'll try that next time. It was actually, I was walking, I used to live right across from a grocery store. I was walking, I saw some guy do it, like some dick in a truck just do that. And I didn't have any Cart Narcs gear on. And I thought to myself, well, what if someone did that to him? I was like, well, I could do that to him.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, next time. Because it was kind of far away at the time, so I didn't have the opportunity in that case. So I did it. I've done it 3, 4, 5, 6 times a number of years ago. And This one lady like backed into it, claimed she didn't see it, even though I'm like, hey, blah blah blah. Another guy actually, there's an early video where I did it to him, and he's like he's got a backup camera on his SUV. I am directly behind him doing this, and he hits it in my estimation intentionally to try to build a case against me, because then he calls the cops. And I waited around for the cops in that case. They, low priority call for the, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Later.
Yeah.
But I do have an attorney who, not specifically for Cart Narcs, but he's just kind of through the radio station, kind of just one of those like friend of a friend sort of persons.
Sure.
Gotcha.
And he said, you know what? It's not. You would call that not entrapment, false imprisonment.
Okay.
It's not specifically really false imprisonment, which is intended. You guys know this more for, locking your significant other in a closet or something.
Sure.
Right.
If you look false imprisonment arrests, it's like abuse and stuff, kidnapping, that sort of thing.
Illegal roadblock, maybe.
Right. So, because the cart can move, obviously.
Sure.
But he said, look, it just, the wrong DA might get a hair up his butt, and you might want to spend some time in court that you don't have to.
I got you.
So I am not doing it for the time being. However, if maybe like once a year, we see what you talk about, where it's like, it's directly next to the person next to them. It's like, not only could it possibly cause a problem for somebody else, it is absolutely causing a problem for that next person.
Yeah.
Right.
I may still do it again if it's so blatant, but it won't be like it's not my go-to move anyways.
I got you.
Gotcha.
So I'm just curious too, like, did you ever have a fan like who didn't put his cart away, and you happen to find the cart and start calling him out and be like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm a huge fan of yours. And it almost kind of backfires in your face.
It's sort of, it has happened twice, or not twice, more than twice. Where there was one, it was in Huntington Beach here, close to LA, where this guy had done it, and I'd gone to bust him, and he walks out and his head's down. He's like, man, my wife and I are big fans. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. And I don't see it as a backfire. I see it as like a good thing of like,
oh yeah.
Because number one, he showed humility and being a nice guy and no ego. And it shows that the message is it shows that the message isn't 100% working.
Right.
But yeah, it's happened more than once where they've like, oh, I follow you, or oh, I'm a fan. In the cases where they do follow me and are fans, they're always cool about it. They're always like, oh, my bad. They get out, whatever.
Sure.
There have been a handful of people who, like another one from pretty recently in New Orleans, where the guy, he starts yelling at me before I've even started busting him. He's like, I think he says something, go on with your bull BS or whatever. Because like he knew who I was, but not a fan.
So he like probably literally did it on purpose to.
Well, if you look at this, the way that one was situated is it was a Walmart where they had that walkway down that was splitting the parking lot. He came out of the door on the other side. His truck was across the walkway, so instead of like finding a little area with the lip where you could push it, he just said, you know what, I'm going to leave it in the middle of this spot and walk my groceries the rest of the way, showing that he's a perfectly able-bodied human being. But he saw me like down the walkway, and as I'm walking towards him, seeing what's about to happen. I haven't said word one to him yet, but he's like cussing me up and down, and then he starts threatening this other guy who's hanging out, and he was just a big, So it happens both sides of it, where people I've been around enough where a lot of people don't know who I am, but enough do, where you get those interactions too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I have some interesting there's a couple of interesting ones that I want to get to, and one of them that really stuck out to me was I guess there's this guy that I don't know if he has like a YouTube channel or a social media channel, this Perry Caravello or whatever it was, or
yes. So that's a long story, but I'll keep it. Well, if you have a question about it first, I can answer that.
Well, I just he really seemed to go off like immediately. Like, did you start filming kind of as soon as you confronted him? Was that, or was there a little bit of a build up before that?
No, he didn't. So here's Perry. He has a very long history. So he is now a YouTuber / streamer, but he has been a part of Jimmy Kimmel's world for 30 years.
Oh, interesting.
Jimmy Kimmel produced a prank movie about him in 2003. Adam Carolla used to host his podcast at his studios until I think Perry caused some problems. But he is a known maniac. And so Perry doesn't know who I am, but I know who he is.
Oh, so you saw him, and
so for that reason, that kind of confuses somebody, or some people thought, oh, this is a fake, this is whatever. Not at all, in the sense that Perry had no idea who I was.
Gotcha.
But he's a known short hair trigger, known temper, thing like that, and a known sort of, I don't know, for a better word, like personality, especially in the LA area. So I've known about him and been a fan of the people around him for some time. No, I knew he was going to be there. Again, he had no idea I was going to be there, but he is such an asshole, for lack of a better term. Again, there's way too much material on him to mention. Again, it goes back decades and decades of people screwing with him. The movie he was on Comedy Central was Windy City Heat. Again, produced by Jimmy Kimmel with Adam Carolla and a bunch of other people. But he's got an insanely, amazingly interesting life, but he's also a violent maniac.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that was going to lead me to my next question with him was like, with some point, like, I don't remember what it was. He said something about beat your ass or something like that, and you said, "No, you're not, sir. Look at you."
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw that one too.
Yeah, that one went.
No, I don't think you are, sir.
And that's a version of again, speaking of what we were talking about earlier, that's a version of a phrase I've used before that I'm starting to use more now and now. It goes back to that. There's the most viewed video I've ever had was the guy who said, "I'm going to put you in the ground," and also like a middle-aged kind of overweight man.
Yeah.
And I said, "I don't think you can catch me, sir." Like something like that. And he says, "Why? Because I'm a fat asshole."
Well, I mean, you said it,
that same thing that I had said, a couple years earlier. But I do. It's the Bugs Bunny thing, like the silly taunts. Like I'm not actively calling them like old and out of shape.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of saying, yeah, come on, guy, be realistic with yourself.
What was that one that you posted yesterday or something that the lady told you to kiss her juicy ass or something, or kiss her ass, and you said, "I bet you." He's like, "Oh, ma'am, I bet you it's nice and juicy, but I don't think I want to."
Yeah, that was back, I think, late last year in Atlanta.
That was so good.
Yeah, because I try in character again, try to be G-rated, but also like we were talking about, I try to play off what they're saying, just give like the most honest and G-rated response to what they're saying, because it makes what they're saying seem even more ridiculous,
Oh, yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So the one that sticks out in my mind as the most, I guess, dangerous would be the one with the gentleman in the work van. I don't even know if he was a contractor or what he was, but he literally pulled out a gun. Is that the only one? That's the only one that I remember seeing where I actually physically seen a gun. You actually seen it in the video.
There are two. There are two. One just happened a couple months ago, but the one you're talking about, it was north of Austin, and he was in a work truck. That I've tried my best to blur the address. People have found, or the company. People have found it, of course. Nature of the internet. It's not, you can't be anonymous. But I try not to allow any kind of doxing in general. Mm-hmm. And what he did is he left his cart. I think he like curbed it on the spot next to his, and I walked up to him. And and again, you can't script these things. He's got like a little chihuahua sitting in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
And I go to put the magnet on. I explain what I'm there for. He says like, "Oh, why don't you go something to the effect of it? Put it back for me." He's like, he's being a dick, trying to like joke with me, saying, "Hey, do it for me, little boy," whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'm gonna put this magnet on." And in that point, he pulls. I guess it's down in like his, his driver's side door area. Pulls out a semi-auto, Glock style, and the slide. And I of course back away naturally because there's a loaded gun in very close proximity to me, and I'm unarmed. And it just so, and you can see in the video is there. He leaves, and then maybe 4 or 5 cars later, there's a local cruiser or SUV, police SUV and I wave the lady down. That we go back and forth, and then you see in the video the final explanation given to me by like her superior officer was, well, because he didn't fire it at you or actually pointed at you, it's not brandishing in Texas or whatever.
Oh, geez.
People have disputed that. I don't know the specific laws, but I've seen some people have sent me some links saying, I don't think those police officers were exactly correct in their interpretation. It's funny, too, because the cop, I don't know if you caught the whole conversation. I didn't push the whole conversation, but he said, well, he will say to you that he didn't know who you are and he was scared of you. And I said, well, because I had pulled my laptop out to show the police, and they were like, well, we don't see the license plate. I'm like, oh God. So I pull it up, zoom in on the light so they can, it's like it was a half-hour ordeal before you got to the part where they said they're not going to do anything.
Right.
And he said, well, he's going to say that he was scared. He didn't know. But like, well, no, in the video, you see him conversing with me about he knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
He teases me about it, in fact.
Right.
And he said, well, then he goes to the whole brandishing thing and so on and so forth. So, so sad to see that guy got away, quote, scot-free, but he's at the very least a disgrace to responsible gun owners.
Did you say there was another one though? I don't remember another one. Did
this
you have another one?
Recently, also in Texas, Houston area.
Maybe you need to stay away from Texas.
And this is one of the guys who it was barely sprinkling, just a tiny bit. And I don't do it in pouring rain or the snow or anything because I don't want to give that excuse to people.
Right.
So that was his first excuse was, oh, I don't want to take it back because it's sprinkling or whatever. I was like, no, it's not. It's like barely. I could hold my hand out. You couldn't see anything, you know. And then he gets out with we do the whole ordeal with the magnets, and he said, I don't really enjoy. I've seen your videos, and I don't like them too much. I was like, oh, so you know who I am? You know, again, he knew what was going on. I'm not there to carjack him or kidnap him or hurt him in any way. He knows what I'm doing.
Right.
So he does the move that a lot of people do is they'll take the magnet, toss it off. I'll put another one on, and they'll drive not far enough away so that I can kind of like jog up and put another one on.
Right.
Because the smart move would be go home, throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
or even go to the next intersection. Right? Yeah, go a block away and take it off and move on.
Yeah. If you're really that, if it hurts your ego that much to have a bumper magnet that says I don't return my shopping cart, I'm a jerk. If you're that worried about it. But he goes to the end of the parking lot and does it. So I'm like jogging up, and he gets out, tosses the magnet, and he pulls up his jacket or whatever, his pullover, and he's got a little concealed carry holster in the front of his pants. I zoomed into the video; it's tough to see, but in person, I was like, "Oh, that's what that is."
I'll have to go back and catch that one. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, and then at that point, people they say that's how you stop the cart narcs. No, that's how you That's how you make a bad name. That's how you.
That's how you go to prison.
Well, depending on the state.
Very true.
Apparently.
Yeah. And then they say, oh, again, same thing. Cart narcs, you're a pussy. Like, show me the situation where you're whatever you're doing. You're going to stand face to face with a man brandish in this. I'll give the second man a point. He didn't pull it out of the holster. He just displayed it. Yeah. I guess that's not technically brandishing, depending on in Texas especially. Yeah. But yeah, the two times other people have said they had guns, never showed them to me. I thought I would imagine they were BSing. But yeah, those were the two guns I've seen in person.
So with that being said, is there a point where you're like, maybe I shouldn't do this?
Yeah, like let's retire this. What is this? I mean, it's obviously a much more ridiculous analogy, but it's like the old. It's literally the concept behind Catch-22. The book is you get a certain number of flight missions in, and you're done.
Yep.
You survive a certain number of missions.
Yep.
Obviously, this is not the same. I'm not a fighter pilot. I would never. This is not stolen valor in that respect.
Just that you are not a special agent of the government, right?
That's right.
But I. So no, I don't think so. Not yet, anyways. It may get to the point where I have like executive protection, maybe, where which is people with bodyguards still get hurt and killed. That's not a foolproof thing, obviously. But at the very least, to kind of deter the guys who would be irresponsible with deadly weapons. So, a good question, one I get a lot, but so far I'm not deterred. That's how the terrorists win.
Did anybody ever get a shot in on you? Not a bullet shot, like a punch?
Well, only one time has anyone I've allowed someone to get close enough, and that was intentional. It was the one from last summer. It was from Aloha, Oregon, and that's the title of the video is Aloha. Yeah. Interesting place to name a city in Oregon.
Yeah, right.
That's
actually on the screen here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and so we go back and forth, and he does the same move where the edge of this parking lot was next to a residential neighborhood, literally the same street. So he pulls around, throws the magnet in someone's mailbox. And then I say, "Oh, sir, I need to get you another magnet." And then at that point, I mentioned it in the video. I thought he was an actor because he was. Oh. He had to reference the earlier. He had Perry Caravello type vibe. There are some people who, I'm not saying this is his case or Perry's case, but who I don't know how they go through life without getting knocked out on like a daily basis almost, because they are any argument. And we seen videos of these people sometimes in stores argue, but they will fight people. And it's not just me, it's the people who are throwing stuff at managers at the CVS. There are people who will go to violence over small slights. And I doing this, as you might imagine, I do find some of those people. And I think this is one of those guys. You can probably fast forward to the most replayed part there. Thanks to YouTube for helping us out. The little gray,
Oh yeah, right there, like right towards the middle there, a little past the middle.
Like 2/3 in.
Oh, okay.
And he charges at me, and it's another version of I'm going to hurt you, and I'm like, no, he's not.
Right there.
So I allow, and he telegraphs his punch from like across the down the street almost. And I said, you know what? I'm going to let him swing at me. I'm not going to just take it on the chin, though. I'm going to block it. I'm going to do a little, Krav Maga or karate style block. And that's what I did. So that's the only time in this video right here where an actual punch has been thrown at me. Once
you're having some technical difficulties there, huh?
Yeah, for some reason.
You're streaming and you're uploading and downloading, so I'm sure your bandwidth is being used heavily already.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm sure. But that one.
There we go.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. So, oh my goodness. Oh yeah, check that out. Like
Yeah, this guy's like literally coming after you. And what cracks me up about people like this, you're
going forced to grab the magnet out of my hand.
Yeah, right. But you're going up to these people and you're putting a magnet on their car because they're too lazy to put the carts back. Yeah. But yet, look how much time they're spending to argue and get out of the car and want to fight you. It's like, look who's wasting your energy there.
Well, it shows a couple things. Number one, in the cases where they say they're too busy, they were lying.
Yeah.
Right? And number two, it just shows you how it shows what people have known for thousands of years, the power of the human ego. How it shows why humility and is such a desired virtue.
Yeah.
And a good thing. You're not a puss if you to say you're sorry when you should be sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want to be wrong, and when they're caught being wrong, and especially caught lying about being wrong, for the case of all the excuses that they give me, it's the terrible thing about the human condition, which is, again, not what I started this to do. I didn't start this to be a social media thing. I didn't start it to be a psychological experiment. It's just what I've uncovered doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
I was trying to roll through your videos here. I was looking for the one where, and you'll probably remember this one, there was a guy in a pickup truck and the police even got involved in this one. I think it was at like a Trader Joe's or something like that.
Oh, that was is that the I'm a fat a-hole guy?
I believe it was.
There were no police actually there. It was the store manager and some other bystanders.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. But that's the one I was talking about earlier. The guy who said, "I'm going to put you in the ground."
And
that's
that same guy. Okay. That was a really long video. I think that one was almost 15 or 20 minutes. It
was 15 plus minutes because. For the guy, because his initial excuse was, I'm too tired. I've been up since 3, 4 a.m.
That's right. Yes.
Which 15 minutes later was proven incorrect.
That's right.
Maury Povich show is off the air now, but when he did the whole lie detector bit, or I think it was Maury, I believe, and I was like, and we found that statement that was a lie.
Yeah.
It's it's a version of that. Of I thought you were too tired. Because you've been literally chasing me, threatening me for 10, 15 minutes. So clearly you were lying, which is, I think that's what part of what people enjoy about Cart Narcs videos is persistence.
Yeah.
Because when people give me these excuses, they expect because what they've experienced the rest of their life is for people to go, oh, okay, I'm sorry. But they don't, but they're being children. When your kids say to you,
sure.
When your kids lie about doing whatever, chores, homework, finishing their dinner, filling up, whatever, they're lying. And you as a parent know that. But we as people, as the saying goes, a lot of us don't grow up. We just grow older, and that's, I think, what Cart Narcs exposes in some cases.
Wow.
So in closing here, first of all, let's push out your stuff here again. Just Cart Narcs on everything. Go to, Facebook.
Any platform. It's bootleg videos on TikTok. Yeah.
It's Cart, like shopping cart, and Narcs, Narcs. And by the way, I love when you say that to people too, and then they go, "Oh, you're a narc? Oh, I'm real scared of you. What are you going to narc me out?" Or
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or
But I love that.
I saw one couple like, what's a narc? And we're
Yeah.
God-fearing people or whatever it was, and I'm like, and they started throwing like the religion in your face, and it
Had it a
was
couple
just
times.
yeah,
Where
Yeah.
we like some kind of evangelical thing. And Narc is obviously. I just did an interview with a German television station, and they don't know our slang, of course.
Gotcha.
And I say, well, narc is narcotics, but a narcotics officer is often called a narc, meaning that they are often undercover, so therefore they are a snitch. So it's like a few steps of logic to teach them. But the nar, it's a like a half rhyme sort of thing, and
Yeah.
not my idea. Some like listener had texted it in because it was just called like shopping cart shaming for the first couple times I'd done it. And they're like, oh, call it cart nar. It's like, oh, perfect, boom, It's another example of how like I don't have this whole idea was not fully formed, and
Sure.
hopefully isn't done with all the different things I'm going to do yet. But yeah, little pieces you kind of build slowly.
So
Oh, yeah.
so let's like I said in closing, like if somebody wants to get you to their area, or like how often are you doing these videos? Like how much are you filming at a certain location, like that type of thing?
So especially during the warmer months, when again I don't have to deal with snow and stuff, I'll do a couple days, like typically like a weekend day or two, so like especially during the summer when there's all kinds of stuff to do everywhere, I'll fly to the New York area, do New York, New Jersey, and maybe like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Other thing about the summertime is you get long daylight on the other sides, which is
Right.
when people are mostly shopping, is after work, after school.
Yeah.
So the sun's not going down at 4:30 in the afternoon, in Seattle or whatever. So it's 2-3 days a week, and especially during the summers when I'll kind of get around to. I'll give you like New York. I'm going to. I'll be in the Ohio area, Colorado area. Especially more the northern cities and stuff like that. I'll probably do a weekend in Canada before daylight saving time.
You specifically seek these places out for this reason, though?
A combination of things. So I haven't been to Chicago in a while. I should do one this summer. Or I'll have somebody I'm doing a piece for the radio show, like interviews at a trade show or some kind of festival or something.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's like it's an evening thing, and I'll go do cart narcs in the afternoon.
Gotcha.
But the geographic variety is great for all of this, like for the reasons I mentioned earlier.
Well, I mean, I'm not by no means putting our city up there with Cleveland, Ohio, by any means. But Lebanon, PA, has got a lot of lazy bones, wouldn't you say, Howie? A lot of lazy bones.
I think Lebanon, Pennsylvania was founded on laziness.
Because I've done a fair number from Philly.
Philly, I saw recently.
Yeah, Philly to Pittsburgh and in between. And there are two cities that have really have struck in me as being exceptionally clean. At my home city of Nashville and Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
I've been to Pittsburgh several times because a couple guys I work with and girls, and one of our affiliates is Pittsburgh, and it's been like the Giants, Giant Eagles have been damn clean.
Yeah.
On the whole. Now, in between there is and Philly's a nightmare, but for a reason
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But in between and around, I've of course, found some people. But I will say, the ones that really stick out to me are Pittsburgh and Nashville have been really, really clean cities.
Okay. I will say though, I will say my oldest son actually lives in Center City, Philadelphia right now. And I will say that if you ever do make it out there, I don't know if you ever depend on using like Ubers or anything like that. But they have like a little thing going on out there that they have fake Ubers going around, and when you get in, they rob you of everything you have on you. And
not talking to Philly, obviously.
Yeah, so I wouldn't invest too much time in Philly, is what I'm saying.
Well, the last Philly video I did from like last summer, I was at a Walmart in somewhere terrible. It might have been somewhere because people it's funny because I'll post these videos not necessarily knowing a lot about the city I'm going to. Mm-hmm. People are like, "Oh my God, you were in that part of Philly or that part of Baltimore?"
Yeah, right.
And I'm walking around and like there are 6-8 carts around. And I go talk to security. He's like, "Oh yeah, people have been coming like at night and stealing them in the U-Hauls." Jesus Christ.
Yes, I can believe it. Oh
my
you
God.
won't believe how many people we see in the city of Lebanon down here that take this cards from the store and then use them for their own personal use.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they think and you wouldn't do that with any other thing that is not your property,
right?
Hopefully,
Yeah,
like,
right.
Anyway, yeah, it
drives me crazy. But yeah, anyway, so do you take suggestions? Like, can people reach out to you if they want to? What's the best way
all the time. Email, direct message on I don't, Twitter, Facebook, but email, any of those places. People send all the time. They have the photos and videos of like, you need to come to my place, and they'll show some wasteland or whatever.
Sure. So send these suggestions out to Agent Sebastian, and maybe he'll see him out in your area.
Yeah,
Narcs in full force, putting people down and making them put their carts back, for God's sake. Like, seriously,
right.
If you had one last message to tell people, what would you tell them right now?
Well, put your cart back, number one. But number two, like I was just talking about, it's okay to say my bad. Like, it doesn't make you a weaker person to admit your fault. No one's like, this is not prison. There's no no one's going to beat you up if you don't show dominant strength at all times. A little bit of humility is going to make you a better person. And in fact, it will make you stronger in the long run, people.
Yeah. And if there's a cart narc nearby, you just might get a sticker.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give you stickers. Thanks. I have the carrot and the stick, or the sticker, as it were. You switch them around.
That's too funny.
Oh man, Sebastian, man, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Again, Cart Narcs, all the social media things. Go find him, and it's a fun follow, and it's a funny follow. I really, again, appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. And before you go, can you give us just a quick bumper? Like, hey, this is Sebastian from Cart Narcs, and you're listening to Stay Tuned with Troy and Howie.
All you lazy bones out there, you know what I mean? You ought to throw that in there too, or something.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
This is Agent Sebastian from the Cart Narcs, and you are listening to Stay Tuned with Troy and Howie. Might be watching it for all I know. Stay tuned and stay safe, and put your carts back.
Perfect.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, man. It's been a blast. I was really looking forward to this. I was so happy you responded.
Never get tired of it.